Hello, and welcome to Drag Race Stats. So I made this channel to make statistic videos about RuPaul's Drag Race to see how each queen of each season did. We're looking at winners, bottom twos, Snatch Game winners, trade of the season, and who should really have won based on statistics. And I'm only looking at seasons where RuPaul is the judge and host. And this time we're looking at All Stars 8. This season has gotten a lot of hate for some reason. I don't really know why, because I think it was quite good. I like the challenges a lot. I don't know if it's because of the cast, but you know, it is a theme here where half of the cast are early outs and the other are like fan favorites. Of course, it's the first time that we see a queen who hasn't been on the US season to come back and compete for All Stars, of course being Jimbo. But I think it's because she was been on UK versus the world, so she is technically a Ru girl, and that's why it's allowed, if we are making rules for that. Because other queens from that season had also been asked to come back. It was Cheryl and Jenny JK. But what this season did bring of new things was the Fame Games, which I quite liked. I think it was very nice that they did this, so each week the eliminated queens showed off their runways and what they would have done. Which I think is very nice because they spend so much money on this, and you know, going home first and you spend all this money and then you don't even get to show your stuff is really sad. And of course, since this is an All-Stars and it's different from All-Stars 7, the rules will again go back to normal All-Stars rules. Those are All-Stars 5 and 6 at least, where one queen wins every week and then they have to lip-sync against a lip-sync assassin. And if the All-Stars queen win, they get to block one of the bottom queens. And if the lip-sync queens win, it is the queens with the most votes that get eliminated, since all the other All-Stars queens have voted for the queen they think should go home. And so I will look at every episode and what happened in there, who won, who was in the bottom, who won the lip sync, and who went home. And then I will look at the queen who went home and talk about them. And as always, I tried to guess who was gonna be in the finale. And this time we only had 2 queens for the first time ever. I don't really know why they did this. I think it was to give Jimbo the advantage, so that she didn't have to lip sync twice to be able to win the season. But in the top 2, I thought it was gonna be Heidi in Closet and Candy Muse. When I watched the cast, I definitely thought that Heidi was going to win this. I thought she was the most popular one of the cast, like coming out of season 12. And I think Candy Muse, just because RuPaul loves her so much and definitely would want her to be a runner-up again. It's sort of like Raven, actually very much like Raven. And the reason why I didn't think Jimbo was gonna win, since everybody else did, is actually because of her returning as the 3rd time and also being Canadian and not from a US season. So I didn't think they were gonna crown her. But then again, I should have known, because why else would they bring her back if not to crown her? And as always, when I try to guess these, I actually have 5 queens that I think is gonna be top 5 because of season 14, you know, which had a top 5. So I always have 5 queens just in case, and then I just take them away when I know how many is gonna be in the finale. So I ended up with these 2. And when it's All Stars, I always try to guess the queens before even watching the season, so as soon as the cast is announced, because you already know the queens and that's the only time you can do it like that. So now let's get started on the season. So in episode 1, we actually had a girl group performance. I think this is the first time on All-Star season that they did this first. Of course, on Canada versus the World, they have done it twice. And I can understand why people don't really like the season now, because this first episode was not good. It was a very nice mini challenge where they had to bring out 2 looks, where it was like famous then and famous now, and then the last one when it was famous forever. So I liked the one, there were some very good ones, I would say. But this challenge was just not good. The sound was very weird. I think there was something wrong with that, because it sounded so strange. And the other queens were just not on beat. And also I just disagree with a lot of the judging here, because Alexis and James were high, which to me made no sense. I am glad at least that Lala was as well. But yeah, I think that Jessica could have been high instead of both of them actually. Also, they didn't need to have 4 people in the top here, because there were only 2 in the bottom. But yeah, I know that James was like throwing a hissy fit and like threatened to quit because he didn't want to do the girl group performance or something. And then they just put her in the top for that reason. I don't know why. They could have just deemed her safe, because if she had been in the bottom, the queens would have voted her out first because they got tired of her, and probably should have, I mean. But yeah, for some reason Cardamom Trees wins this first episode, even though I thought that Jessica or Lala should have won. And in the bottom 2, we have Monica Beverly Hills and Darian Lake, which I think was quite fair. And the lip sync assassin for this episode turned out to be Asha from season 9 and All Stars 3. And she is of course also the drag mom of Candy Muse. But yeah, Asha wins over Kahana Montrese, and the queen who got eliminated was the queen who got the most votes, and that was Monica Beverly Hills from season 5. And being the first queen out, she was of course never in any lip syncs and didn't win any challenges. And she was only in the bottom once. She was eliminated in episode 1 by the queen's votes. Monica is the third queen from season 5 to be eliminated first on an All-Stars season, of course being Coco Montrese in All-Stars 2 and Serena Chacha in All-Stars 6. But unfortunately she was just so low energy in this challenge, and also when she came back for the talent show, now so can clock, which is still so fucking funny. So I think it makes sense that she goes home first. I also kinda expected it when I looked at the cast, to be honest. In episode 2 we had the RDR Live, you know, which is a parody on SNL, which I thought was quite funny. I think it was a good idea to do this. It's weird to me that they haven't come up with this sooner, but I think it also takes a lot of work to like write all the different segments and sketches. I think the standout for me this episode was Mrs. Kasha Davis. She was so funny in the first segment with Candy Muse, and also in this segment with Jessica and Jimbo. It was really funny. So it's crazy for me that she was just safe this episode, and also that James was high again. I really don't get why. I don't think she was very funny in her skit with Nasia. And it's also just funny with the skit that you can see here in the picture that it just totally copied it for season 16 when they also did the RDR Live. Like this with two horny bimbos and a third character coming in, like with Plain Jane, Geneva Carr, and then Ross Matthews had Kasha's role instead. That was really weird. And if it wasn't for Kasha's horrible runway outfit, I think she could have won this episode. But she wasn't even placed high, so. But yeah, Jimbo ends up winning this. She was very funny, and she also had maybe the best runway here. And in the bottom two, we had Kahana Montrese and Nasia Lopez. I actually think Kahana did way better than I expected her to, but I still think it was fair. And the lip sync assassin was Pangina Heels from UK vs the World 1 and season 1 and 2 of Thailand, where she was a co-host, and now she is the main host of Thailand. So of course Jimbo wins this challenge so she can go up against Pangina as the rematch. But Pangina of course wins the lip sync, and therefore it is the queen's votes who decide who go home, and that queen was Nasia Lopez from season 8. She did not win any challenges or lip syncs and was only in the bottom once. She was eliminated in episode 2 by the queen's votes. Nasia was never gonna make it very far because there was some production meddling here. They didn't really want her to be here for some reason. I don't know if it's anything to do with her hosting the Roscoe's show or something, I don't know. It is quite crazy that she has won Miss Continental, but has never made it further than 3 challenges on RuPaul's Drag Race twice. But yeah, the show is not for everyone, and you can still be a very good drag queen outside of it. So in episode 3 we had the ball, and this time it was the supermarket ball, where they as always have to bring 3 looks, 2 of them from home and 1 they had to create themselves in the workroom. And the first one they were Legend Dairy Queens, which of course had something to do with dairy products or milk or something like that. The second one being Fruity Patootie, which is usually something with fruits, except for Jimbo who did like a gay icon dress. And the last one where they had to make it themselves, the supermarket supermodel. And again we had 4 queens being high, which I didn't really get because Lala Ree, Candy Muse and Jessica Wilde plus Jimbo were all high, and Heidi, who I thought was gonna win the episode, was just safe. That was really weird to me, and also because they wanted to redeem Lala Ree's like having the worst ball look ever. Hers was not that good, like it didn't look very good, so yeah, it was really weird to me. But yeah, Jessica Wilde won the challenge, and in the bottom 2 were Mrs. Kasha Davis and Darian Lake. And the lip sync assassin was Raja O'Hara from season 11, All Stars 6, and the winner of Canada vs the World season 2. Raja probably would have won this song if it had been another song, because it was Coconuts by Kim Petras and she wasn't wearing any boobs, and Jessica was. So I mean, she would have known that there was this song, so why didn't she do anything about that? And so for the first time this season, an all-star queen won the lip sync, and therefore it was Jessica who decided who was going home. And Jessica chose to eliminate Mrs. Kasha Davis from season 7. She never won any lip syncs and any challenges, and she was only in the bottom once. She was eliminated in episode 3 by Jessica Wilde. It's so sad that she went home so early because she is a very lovable queen, but I knew she was going home early. I don't think it was very fair to eliminate her here. Yes, she had the worst look, but Darian had already been in the bottom once, and actually most of the queens did also vote for her, so she was going home no matter what. I just don't know why. It's so sad. I'm still mad that she didn't win episode 2 in this season, but actually also on season 7, because she could definitely definitely have won the Rusical over Ginger Minch. In episode 4, we had this acting challenge where the queens had to make their very own trailers for TV series or something. Yeah, it was okay. There were some good performances. I thought Jimbo was really good, of course, and Heidi and Lala were just insane in this one. It was really crazy, but yeah, I liked it a lot. Jimbo gets her second win, and in the bottom 3 we have James Mansfield, Alexis Michelle, and Darian Lake. And the lip sync assassin was Chanel from season 1 and All Stars 1. She is definitely not a lip sync assassin. She has never won a lip sync. She's been in one which she lost, and no matter what she says, yes, Chanel, you did lose that lip sync, you went home, that means you lost. But she not very surprisingly won this one because Jimbo can't lip sync for shit. So there she got her very first win. Congrats, Chanel. So that means that the queen's vote determined who went home, and that was Darian Lake from season 6. She never won any challenges and was never in any lip syncs. She was in the bottom 3 times before going home in episode 4, where she was eliminated by the queen's vote, which means she was in the bottom 3 out of 4 episodes. I did not expect her to do this poorly because she was forced to be in Regenerate on season 6, so I expected her to go very far in this season. It's been a long time coming since she was on here because I think she was supposed to be an All Stars 3 where BB took her place in the end. But yeah, unfortunately she just didn't do very well here, so I think it was very fair with her bottom placements. But she had also gone through a huge transformation and just lost a lot of weight. Really good for her. In episode 5 we had Snatch Game, and yeah, this was a weird one. I would say. I think Jimbo was very funny, like one of the best performances ever. It was just such a smart choice for her to choose Shirley Temple here, because of course she's gonna smash it out of the park. But there really wasn't that much competition for her. Alexis Michelle did alright, James Mansfield was okay, I guess, and the others were just not very good. I think it was Heidi who had a weird choice. She chose Blackbeard the Pirate, but she didn't do anything with it, like it was just her. She didn't change her voice. She literally said things that Heidi usually says, but I think she had given up at this point, so she probably didn't care too much. And Jimbo wins the challenge here. So that means Jimbo already has 3 wins in 5 episodes. The other queens must have been so furious about this. How could any one of them even catch up to her at this point? And in the bottom 2 were Kahana Montrese and Jessica Wilde, kind of by default. But anyway, the lip sync assassin here was Jasmine Kennedy from season 14. Of course, Jasmine smashes Jimbo out of the park here, like there's no doubt she was ever gonna lose this one. But unfortunately, Heidi had quit, so no one goes home here except for her. Heidi in Closet from season 12. She never won any challenges and was never in any lip syncs, and she was never even in the bottom. She did quit in episode 5. I do think Heidi was being mistreated on this season, both by the judges, the producers, and the other queens. I really felt bad for her, and I don't blame her for quitting because everyone was against her. She didn't get the praise that she deserved from the judges, like she was constantly safe. She was high in episode 2. She wasn't even high for the ball, which she should have won. And then again for the other acting challenge, where she also did a really good job. She was just safe. And then there's just the whole argument between her and Candy, where she said that Candy had said she would send Jimbo home if she was given the choice, and then Candy lied about it and said she hadn't said that, and even Alexis didn't back her up because she was scared of Candy or something. And Candy has of course later on said that that was a lie and that she lied to Heidi. And then the final straw where Kahana felt attacked by Heidi in Snatch Game. I can see that she was digging at her a lot with like not having any jokes and stuff. It's very sad because I did think she was going to win. I do hope she comes back one day and get like a better run, if she wants to, of course. Maybe like on a Canada versus the World season. That would be nice. In episode 6 we had the Rusical, the unauthorized Joan the Musical, which was of course about Joan Crawford's life. And I just want to say, because I think it's a bit weird, you know, with this whole time that we're in with cancel culture and whatever, that Joan Crawford is still someone who's being very celebrated by old people but also young people, because she wasn't a very abusive mother, and people know that and like make fun of it, and they also did that in this Rusical. So I just think it's weird in a way, because we have people who are being cancelled who have done, I would say, less than that, but a being abusive mother is apparently okay. And I also just read a article once, or an interview by Christina Crawford, where she talks about how awful it was growing up with Joan and how she hates when people, you know, make fun of it and stuff like that. But whatever, back to the show. I thought everyone did a really good job. I think it must have been very hard to judge this. Going into this episode, episode, I thought this was gonna be Lala Ree's episode because it was a musical and the category was a night of 1,000 Grace Joneses, and she usually does some inspired looks by Grace Jones, but hers was just not very good, so that was a bit sad. She had a great performance, same with Candy and Alexis and Jessica. It was really, really, really good. And I get that the people think that Jimbo should have been in the bottom for this because she didn't do as much as the others, but she was playing an old woman, so I think you can, like, it's the character, you can say. And Kahana, I don't know what the problem was, because I think she did everything that she had to. Yes, there was no Joan Crawford about it, but like, what else should she have done with the role? But Candy Muse won the challenge, and in the bottom two were Kahana Montrese and James Mansfield. And the lip sync assassin was Angeria Paris Van Michaels from season 14. Candy ended up winning the lip sync and chose to eliminate James Mansfield from season 9. She never won any challenges and was never in any lip syncs, and she was in the bottom twice. She was eliminated in episode 6 by Candy Muse. And I just knew Candy was going to do this, even though it would have been fair to eliminate Kahana here. I mean, Kahana still had a win, of course, but it was our third time, so I think it was fair enough. But I just knew Candy was going to do this. I just had a feeling. And if they wanted James out, why didn't they send her home in the acting challenge instead of Darien Lake? We gotta be honest, I didn't need James to be on this season. I don't get her humor the same way as the others, I think, and she was placed high in a lot of challenges where she shouldn't have been. In Snatch Game, I think she was alright. I don't think she was that great as Jennifer Coolidge, so I just don't really vibe with her that much. So yeah, I didn't care too much that she went home here. In episode 7 we had a improv challenge called Forensic Queens, where they had to do this true crime mystery novel whodunit kind of thing about little pound cake and whatever happened to her. It was very, very weird. It wasn't that good. It was drawn out way too long, and I just don't think it was very funny. I had a hard time watching this, to be honest. If it hadn't been for Jimbo and Lala Ree, this would have been impossible to watch. But I think Lala completely stole the show here, which was very unexpected, to be honest, and that is why she won this challenge. And in the bottom two were again Kahana Montrese and Alexis Michelle. And the lip sync assassin was Georges, also from season 14. We had 3 lip sync assassins from season 14 now. I mean, there also were some great ones from that season, so it makes sense. But Lala Ree actually wins the lip sync and chose to send home Kahana Montrese from season 11. She was in 1 lip sync but did not win it, and was in the bottom 4 times before being sent home in episode 7 by Lala Ree. She had undergone a huge transformation as well. I did not recognize her at all. I had a really hard time believing that it was her actually, just seeing her from season 11. She somewhat looked shorter here, which is weird to say because you can't really tell on the TV screen. She almost quit this episode, of course, but then Ru had to come in and talk to her, and then she chose to stay, but then she went home anyway, and she seemed at peace with that. I think she knew it was her time to go. It was very clear that she was a Vegas girl now because all of her runways were very Vegas. I mean, it was good. It was way better. And Kahana Montrese is also the trade of the season. I mean, look at her. Come on. In episode 8 we had another design challenge where the queens had to design looks inspired by past All-Stars winners, which was really fun. I love when they do stuff like this. I think we saw some great looks from Alexis and Jimbo, and some not so great looks from Candy and Lala. And Jessica was like in the middle for me. So I think it was very clear how this should have gone, and I think they did the right thing here. I think it was just very fairly, which is a bit surprising, you know, for the way they want things to go. And Alexis Michelle very fairly wins this design challenge, which is very surprising. It's just really great to see queens come back and win challenges they previously lost, you know, both her and Lala. And in the bottom 2 were Candy Muse and Lala Ree. And the lip sync assassin this episode was Nikki Doll from season 12 and the judge of Drag Race France, who is again not really a lip sync assassin. She's only won 1 against Dahlia Sin, but I think it's because she's a judge that they brought her back. But I think Alexis does a very good job. She was very funny in this, and she does win it and chose to eliminate Lala Ree from season 13. She was in 1 lip sync and she also won it, so she had 1 win. She was in the bottom once and was eliminated in episode 8 by Alexis Michelle. Again, I didn't really care that much about her for being back, but I think it's because she was Miss Congeniality that she was brought back, and the judges really seemed to like her very much and like kept trying to hype her up and saying, oh, she was doing so much better this time and she was so good, which I guess was true at some points. but not in the ball, that's for sure. But I think it was a little bit of an unfair elimination. Of course, Candy and Lala had the exact same track record, having one win, having one bottom placement, but Lala was placed high one more time than Candy was, so she had a slight better track record. And she had just saved Alexis from elimination, and then she had promised her to save her the other way around if it happened, and then it did, and then she didn't save her. I think Candy threatened Alexis to not send her home here, because Candy did play a dirty game in this season, but we'll get to that later. But it was just great to see Lala perform more, because she is awesome at that. She's so good, and I'll talk about the fame games later. In episode 9 we had the roast. Even though this is the top 4 at the point, we are not in the finale. And I think it was a very, very good roast actually. I expected 2 of the queens to be very good, and 2 of the queens I was unsure about. Jimbo and Candy I expected to do very well, and they did. Jessica and Alexis I was not too sure about, but I think they did quite well, both of them actually. I do think Alexis was the worst one, just because she had the fewest laughs. Not because she was bad at any means, because she was way better than she did on season 9. Because that one was so cringe and just not funny. But this one was actually good. She had some very good jokes in there, I would say. But yeah, Jimbo of course wins as Joan Rivers, and she gets her 4th win of the season. And in the bottom we had the 3 other queens, being Alexis Michelle, Jessica Wilde, and Candy Muse. And the lip sync assassin this week was Silky Nutmeg Ganache from Season 11, All-Star 6, and Canada vs. the World Season 2. After Silky had lip-synced so many times on All-Star 6 and won almost all of them, I expected her to be on this one. I think that was a really good gag. So it's really funny that Jimbo ends up beating her. The best lip-sync assassin that we had gets beaten by Jimbo. That's really weird. But yeah, so Jimbo actually gets her very first lip-sync win here. So Jimbo wins the lip-sync and chose to eliminate Alexis Michelle from Season 9. She was in 1 lip-sync and won it, so she had 1 win, and she was in the bottom 3 times. She was eliminated in episode 9 by Jimbo. Alexis did not come to play in this season. She was so much better than she was on season 9. I think her runways were excellent. She's never looked so good before. And also her winning a design challenge, it also just blew my mind. But I gotta say, her obsession with Lala Ree was a bit weird. I get that you can have a crush on somebody, but it was just very, very forceful in a way. And when she was asking for her name and stuff, is that a big thing to drag queens, that they don't want to give you their real name? Because I've also seen videos of Stephanie Prince going around on DragCon saying the queen's real names, and many of them are very disturbed and offended by it. It's just a name. But it's funny with Alexis because she is the Broadway star and she's a theater queen. She's very good at Snatch Game and the musicals, but when it comes to the acting challenges and some of the improvs, she's just not very good at those, and I don't really understand why. She often fell short on those, both on this season and also season 9. It's quite strange, because in the workroom she's very good at it, where she always cries and acts so offended by everything. She did that a lot this season, oh my god. I didn't care too much about her on season 9. I think she was kind of a laughing stock a little bit, I'm sorry about it. But this time, I think she was very great to see. She's great TV, of course, and she did way better. She really deserved that place in the top 4, so it sucks that it wasn't the end here. In episode 10, we had the makeover, and now we're at top 3, but we are still not in the finale. I wonder if the queen knew it was only gonna be a top 2 in this season, and they had to make over lesbians to become their drag daughters in a fabulous drag resemblance challenge. Whatever it is. I mean, these makeovers are always so judged differently just so they can get the narrative that they want and the queen to go home. I don't think they're judged fairly. I always think they're judged differently. Sometimes it's good that they look like each other. Sometimes they look too much like each other. Sometimes it's black and white. That's really good. And sometimes black and white is not very good. Quite annoying to watch. I think that Jimbo had the worst look, and I don't think it was her fault, to be honest, because her partner didn't want to do her original idea. It was too flashy costumes and makeup, which is really weird. If you come on a drag show and you know you're gonna be in drag makeup and costume, why will you not do it? How do you think you can come in and decide what the queen is going to do? It's her, life on the line here. Candy Muse does win this challenge, even though I think that Jessica should have, but of course there was no way that Candy and Jimbo was going to be eliminated in this episode. And so the bottom 2 is of course Jimbo and Jessica Wilde, which is crazy that they did this, putting Candy in the top and Jimbo in the bottom, because she is that bitch. She could definitely have eliminated her here. But yeah, the lip sync assassin this episode was Priyanka, the winner of Canada Season 1, which was just very unexpected and very fun to see her here, and I'm pretty sure she's gonna be on like an all-winner season at some point. But yeah, Priyanka actually wins the lip sync here, and therefore it is the queens' votes who determine who goes home. But since there are only 2 queens left, they both voted for each other, so it's a tie between Jimbo and Jessica, and therefore Candy has to step forth and reveal who she voted for. And therefore the eliminated queen was Jessica Wilde, all the way back from season 2, which means it took her 14 years to come back on the show. That's crazy. She was in 1 lip sync and she won it, so she had 1 win, and she was in the bottom 3 times. She was eliminated in episode 10 by Candy Muse, and also Jimbo technically. And the reason why Candy eliminated Jessica over Jimbo is because she has said that she knew she could beat Jimbo in a lip sync and she was not sure about Jessica, which totally makes sense. It was just so great to see Jessica again, and I expected a lot of good things from her, and I think she delivered that totally. I don't know if winning the ball was right for her, but I think there was so many challenges where she did so well and was very close to winning, or could have won at least. Like in the first episode, the girl group, and the musical, the makeover that we just had. And again, it just sucks that there wasn't a top 3 or top 4 finale episode, because she really also deserved to be in that finale. So in episode 11 we have the Fame Games, which was also the talent show. So all the eliminated queens came back and they participated in the talent show. Candy and Jimbo were the hosts, but they also did their own talent performances at the end. I think there was many good performances here. The standouts for me were like Naisha Lopez, Kahana Montrese, Jessica Wilde, and honestly also Mrs. Kasha Davis. I really liked her piece. It was so inspiring and so good. And Heidi of course wasn't in the talent show, or her looks were shown because she had quit the competition. But yeah, the top 2 were Lala Ree and James Mansfield. I definitely agree with Lala. I don't think James should have won maybe. I think I would have given it to Naisha Lopez actually. But I think it makes sense that those 2 queens won, because I feel like they were the most pushed this season a little bit maybe. But yeah, then they actually had to lip sync against each other. I think they both just had fun with this lip sync. They didn't go too hard, but I do think that Lala should have won it. But it did end up being a tie. And you know, the entire season we had seen the eliminated queens looks at the end of Untucked, so you could see what they would have done for that runway category. And then the viewers were supposed to vote for whoever they think should have won the Fame Games, but instead they did this talent show where the top 2 had a chance to win multipliers of the vote. So James got ×2 and Lala got ×3. So the entire thing just again is out the window, and they just do whatever they want so they can rig it. So the queen that they want to win will win. In episode 12 it was the grand finale, where Candy and Jimbo had to perform their own original songs that was made for them in this episode. You know, kind of like they did on season 14, 15 and 16. But this was the first time it happened in an all-star season, because they usually just do a room mix where all of them perform together. And after that they of course had to lip sync for the crown. But before we got to the lip sync, it was announced who was the winner of the Fame Games. And of course, since Lala has ×3, she's going to win no matter what. And in the end, Lala Ree ended up winning the Fame Games and $60,000. And then it was time for the top 2 to lip sync for the crown. You know, the song was Do You Wanna Funk by Sylvester and Patrick Cowley, but right at the end the producers wanted to change the song to something Jimbo was better at, but Candy threatened to quit or like not do anything for the lip sync if they did that. So they kept the original song, which is just, it's so incredibly shady of this production. Like, they really need to stop doing this. But yeah, Candy still loses this, and she would have, no matter what happened, she would have known that as well. Candy Muse from season 13. She was in 2 lip syncs and won one of them, and she was in the bottom twice. She made it all the way to the finale and placed runner-up. Her and Jimbo actually became really good friends, which is shocking to me. No, I just don't really like her. I don't think she's a very good person. She plays a very dirty game, I would say. She lies and manipulates other people to get what you want, and I guess that's what you have to do in this competition. I'm just not a fan of it. You know, she did lie to Heidi when she said that she hadn't said that she would send Jimbo home if she had the option. And then in the Slaycation, she admitted that she faked the panic attack that she got back on season 13, so she thinks she wouldn't be in the bottom and had to lip sync. But she slayed the Rusical this season. Jimbo from Canada season 1 and UK versus the World Season 1. She was in 4 lip syncs, but only won 1 of them, and she was only in the bottom once. She made it all the way to the finale and is of course the winner of this season. She is of course the first international queen to be on an US All-Star season. I think she did very well this season, of course, having 4 wins as the only queen when no one even came close. And I think it was very well deserved. The Snatch Game win, the Roast win, the second action challenge win, maybe the first one could have gone to somebody else. And she also just had some insane drag looks. I've never seen this level of high drag excellence from anyone before, actually, and especially not from her. That was crazy. I don't know why she's so obsessed with having these huge tits and asses though. It's so funny. And her talent show is just again super fucking weird, but yeah, that's why we love her so much. And Jimbo is also the Snatch Game winner. But yeah, Jimbo is the winner of All Stars 8 and $200,000. But now that we have seen the facts, who should really have won? There was no one who came close to Jimbo. She was the only one who had 4 wins. I mean, it was only between her and Candy anyway, and Candy only had 2 wins and was in the bottom twice. So congratulations to Jimbo for winning All Stars 8. And I'm not gonna include Lala's win here for the Fame Games because there is no way to look at that factual. Unless I had the actual results of the votes, but I don't, so. Just a quick side note, I did not count James Mainfield and Lala Ree's wins in the talent show on their track record because they were eliminated when it happened. And now let's see how I did. So I of course guessed that Heidi would win and Candy Muse was gonna be runner-up. So Candy was right. And Heidi of course didn't win because she quit. And I don't know how far she would have made it if she hadn't quit. I think she would have been in the bottom 2 for Snatch Game, but Kahana would probably have been eliminated here. Maybe if she had Kahana's role in the next episode, she would have gone home there. But yeah, who's really to say? But yeah, looking back at the season, I can probably tell why people don't like it that much. There were some weird episodes and some weird choices here. The cast is not the best, of course. Yeah, so it's a little bit predictable. People say that they knew Jimbo was going to win as soon as he stepped in. I didn't. So I can understand why. It's not as good as I recalled. But yeah, next time we will be looking at All Stars 9 and then I will finally be caught up with all the seasons. It's so nice to be done. I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video. Remember to like, comment and subscribe. Also check out my other channel where I make gaming and Pokemon Go content. See you next time. Bye bye.